I Love Lucy.
More than just a television show.
It was a cultural phenomenon, a groundbreaking comedy that captivated millions and continues to entertain audiences worldwide decades later. But what if I told you that the warmth, the camaraderie, the seemingly genuine affection you saw flickering between Fred and Ethel Mertz on screen was, in reality, a masterful act, a performance so convincing it masked a chilling truth? William Frawley utterly hated Vivian Vance. Now we know the reason why. William Frawley was born William Clement Frawley on February 26, 1887, in Burlington, Iowa. This means he was significantly older than many of his peers in Hollywood, a fact that shaped his perspective and career path. Frawley was a true show business veteran, belonging to an earlier era of entertainment. He got his start in vaudeville in the early 20th century, performing alongside his brother. Vaudeville was a tough, demanding world that required resilience and a thick skin, qualities Frawley developed in spades. He later moved to Broadway, appearing in numerous stage productions throughout the 1910s and 20s, honing his craft as a comedic and dramatic actor. By the 1930s, he had transitioned to Hollywood, where he carved out a niche as a reliable character actor. He appeared in dozens upon dozens of films, often playing tough-talking cop, grumpy fathers, bartenders, or cynical sidekicks. He wasn't a leading man, not a romantic hero, but he was a recognizable and dependable presence on screen. Known for his distinctive voice and often cantankerous demeanor, he had a long, solid career, but lacked that one iconic role that would define him for generations. Personally, Frawley was known to be a man of straightforward, often blunt opinions. He didn't mince words, and his temper could be short. He enjoyed drinking, a habit that was well known in the industry and had, at times, caused him trouble professionally. He was a man of routine, set in his ways, and perhaps a bit world-weary from decades in show business. He was a veteran, a pro, but also a personality that could be challenging to navigate. This was the man who would soon be cast as one half of America's favorite on-screen couple, a pairing that would define his later years but also ignite a bitter off-screen feud. The opportunity that would make William Frawley immortal was the birth of I Love Lucy. Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz wanted to transition their radio show to television, starring together. After initial resistance, they produced the pilot themselves, leading to a series order. They needed actors to play their landlords and best friends, Fred and Ethel Mertz. Casting Fred Mertz proved relatively straightforward. Desi Arnaz believed William Frawley had the perfect grumpy, lovable quality. Frawley, nearing 65 and eager for steady work, secured the role, reportedly guaranteeing Desi he would keep his drinking in check and demanding a firm contract. Casting Ethel was more challenging. They needed a talented actress with comedic chops, a good singing voice, and the ability to play the older, slightly less glamorous half of the Mertz couple. Vivian Vance, an accomplished Broadway actress known for her talent and comedic instincts, was chosen. The moment William Frawley and Vivian Vance were officially cast and met is shrouded in minor variations of the same core story. What is consistent across accounts is that the instant Frawley learned Vivian Vance, a woman 22 years his junior, had been cast as his wife, he was incensed. His initial reaction, reportedly expressed with characteristic bluntness, was outrage at the significant age gap. He felt it was unbelievable, and perhaps even insulting to be paired with someone so much younger as his wife. According to accounts from the time, he grumbled openly about it. Vivian Vance, while professional, was also reportedly less than thrilled to be cast as the wife of a man so much older than herself, and to play a character perceived as older and less attractive than she was in real life. She worried about being typecast, and Frawley's open grumbling about her age added to her discomfort. So, even before filming began, a seed of mutual resentment was planted. Frawley was angry about Vance's youth, and Vance was irritated about playing older than her years, especially opposite a much older man who was openly complaining about her age. This was the awkward, Slightly resentful starting point for a relationship that would become one of the most famously contentious in television history. Despite the initial friction and the awkward reality of their significant age difference, I Love Lucy premiered in October 1951 and quickly became a phenomenon. The show wasn't just popular, it was appointment viewing for millions, dominating the ratings and rewriting the rules of television production, particularly with its use of the three-camera format filmed before a live studio audience, championed by Desi Arnaz, and central to the show's success, alongside the madcap antics of Lucy and Ricky, were Fred and Ethel Mertz. They were the grounding force, the voice of reason and the perfect comedic foil. Their timing was impeccable, their reactions priceless, and their on-screen relationship, though often focused on their squabbles, had an undeniable warmth and authenticity that viewers adored. Fred and Ethel became iconic characters, just as beloved as the Ricardos. What is truly remarkable, a testament to their extraordinary talent and professionalism, is that William Frawley and Vivian Vance managed to create such believable, hilarious, and beloved characters together, given how they truly felt about each other off-screen. When the cameras rolled, they were Fred and Ethel. They hit their marks, delivered their lines with perfect timing, reacted instinctively to each other's performance, and generated genuine laughter from the studio audience and millions watching at home. Their on-screen chemistry was undeniable, a masterpiece of acting that completely masked the reality of their off-screen dynamic. This ability to suppress their personal feelings for the sake of the performance is perhaps the most stunning aspect of their professional relationship. The set of I Love Lucy at Desilu Studios was known for being a generally happy and professional environment, largely due to the leadership of Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz. However, even in this positive atmosphere, the palpable tension between Frawley and Vance was an open secret among the cast and crew. While they could turn it on for the camera, the instant cut, it was called, the professional facade would often drop, and the animosity would resurface. However, the legendary on-screen chemistry between Fred and Ethel Mertz, the warmth and humor that millions saw every week, masked a far more bitter truth behind the scenes. The moment the camera stopped rolling, the laughter often died down, and the professional courtesy wore thin. The relationship between William Frawley and Vivian Vance wasn't merely one of polite indifference or mild creative differences. It was, by many accounts, a relationship characterized by deep-seated dislike and, for some, a level of personal animosity that bordered on hatred. These two incredibly talented actors, who created one of America's most beloved on-screen couples, simply could not stand each other in real life. Why? What were the deep personal conflicts, the bruised sensitivities, and the inherent clashes of personality that led to such a profound and lasting feud? The reasons run deep, rooted in age, appearance, personality, and the unexpected friction of being perfectly cast in roles that forced them together. The relationship between William Frawley and Vivian Vance remains one of the most striking paradoxes in television history. Two individuals who, through sheer professional skill, created a beloved, believable on-screen marriage while harboring intense negative feelings towards each other in reality. Their story is a prime example of the profound disconnect that can exist between the magic of performance and the complex, often painful, reality of human interaction behind the scenes. So, let's delve into the core reasons behind this infamous feud. Why did William Frawley reportedly utterly hate Vivian Vance, and why did she reciprocate those feelings with such intensity? Reason number 1. The age difference and initial resentment. As mentioned, William Frawley was 22 years older than Vivian Vance. In the context of playing a married couple, this age gap was significant, and it was the very first point of contention that soured their relationship from the outset. From William Frawley's perspective, being cast as the husband of a woman so much younger was reportedly deeply irritating. He was an older, seasoned veteran, and he seemed to feel that Vance's casting as his wife was unrealistic, and perhaps even a slight to his own perceived vitality or status. He was reportedly vocal about his displeasure, making comments about her age relative to his, perhaps framing it as unbelievable casting. According to accounts from the time, he grumbled about having to play opposite someone he saw as too young to be his spouse. From Vivian Vance's perspective, being cast as the wife of a man 22 years older was also problematic. She was an accomplished Broadway actress, still relatively young and attractive, and she resented being cast as an older, less glamorous character, being constantly reminded of the age gap by her co-star, who seemed bothered by her youth in the role, added insult to injury. She was being asked to play older than she was, opposite a man significantly older, who then seemed to blame her for the age mismatch. This initial friction over their ages, and Frawley's open grumbling about it, set a negative tone before they even truly started working together, planting the early seeds of resentment in Vance. The very fact of their casting, and Frawley's reaction to it, became a point of conflict from day one. Reason number 2. The cruel jokes about appearance and weight. This is arguably the most widely reported and most painful source of conflict between Frawley and Vance. Vivian Vance was sensitive about her appearance and struggled with her weight throughout her life. The character of Ethel Mertz was often dressed in somewhat frumpy, conservative clothes, designed to make her appear more matronly and serve as a contrast to Lucy's flashier wardrobe. While Vance was a professional and wore the costumes required, she reportedly disliked the implication that she was old or unattractive. William Frawley, with his blunt, often coarse sense of humor and lack of filter, reportedly preyed on this sensitivity. Accounts from the set, shared by various cast and crew members over the years, consistently describe Frawley making frequent, cruel, and public jokes about Vivian Vance's weight or appearance. He would allegedly make comments about her size, her costumes, or how she looked after a break. These weren't harmless jokes. They were personal digs that struck at one of Vance's known insecurities. Imagine the scene, working closely, day in and day out, with a colleague who constantly, perhaps deliberately, makes hurtful remarks about something you are sensitive about. For Vance, who already resented playing older than her age, Frawley's relentless teasing about her appearance was reportedly deeply humiliating and hurtful. She found his comments utterly unacceptable, a form of personal attack that went beyond professional disagreement. This constant barrage of negativity, aimed directly at her appearance by her on-screen husband, fueled a burning resentment in Vivian Vance. It was a form of psychological harassment that she came to detest. Reason number 3. The clash of personalities and lifestyles. Beyond the specific issues of age and appearance, Frawley and Vance simply had vastly different personalities and lifestyles, leading to constant low-level friction and a lack of any genuine connection off-set. William Frawley was an old-school performer, rough around the edges, known for his love of baseball and drinking. He was gruff, direct, and seemingly unconcerned with smoothing over social interactions. He had his routines, his habits, and wasn't inclined to change for anyone. Vivian Vance, while a comedic powerhouse, was reportedly more sensitive, more refined in her demeanor, and perhaps more concerned with politeness and social graces. She was bothered by Frawley's bluntness and reportedly by his drinking habits, which could occasionally impact his mood or behavior after hours. Their daily interactions, when not in character, were minimal and strained. They didn't socialize together. They often ate lunch separately, and they reportedly avoided each other as much as possible when not required to be on set together. The camaraderie the audience saw between Fred and Ethel was entirely absent between William and Vivian the people. This constant clash of personalities created an environment of mutual irritation. For Frawley, Vance's sensitivities might have seemed like diva behavior or being overly dramatic. For Vance, Frawley's bluntness and habits were simply grating and disrespectful. The sheer incompatibility of their personalities meant that any potential for friendship or even comfortable coexistence was non-existent, leading to a pervasive atmosphere of dislike that colored their professional relationship. Reason number 4. Subtle professional competition and deep-seated resentment. While both were supporting actors, there was arguably an underlying current of competition or resentment related to their positions and the public's reception of their characters. Fred and Ethel Mertz were incredibly popular, and within that duo, there might have been subtle jockeying for who was funnier, who got the biggest laughs, or who was considered the heart of the pair. Frawley, a veteran with a long career but lacking true iconic status until I Love Lucy, may have harbored a degree of resentment towards Vance, who was younger, had achieved significant Broadway acclaim, and was arguably seen as the more energetic and perhaps more talented comedic performer of the two in the Mertz pairing. He might have felt that his years of experience weren't being fully appreciated alongside her fresher success. Adding to this, there's a widely circulated anecdote, perhaps exaggerated but illustrative of the perceived dynamic, that William Frawley once bitterly remarked that he hated Vivian Vance because she'll probably outlive me. And this comment, if true, reveals a dark, almost morbid form of resentment, perhaps envy of her youth and the prospect of her enjoying the prolonged legacy and benefits of I Love Lucy long after he was gone. It speaks to a deep-seated bitterness, possibly fueled by his own aging and awareness that this iconic role came later in his life. It frames his dislike not just in terms of on-set friction, but a deeper, more profound resentment tied to mortality and legacy within the cutthroat entertainment industry. The constant tension between Frawley and Vance was not hidden from the rest of the cast and crew. Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz were fully aware of the animosity. Desi, as the producer, reportedly had to manage the situation, often separating them or acting as a buffer. They knew they had magic on screen but conflict off screen. Remarkably, despite their mutual dislike, both Frawley and Vance were consummate professionals when the cameras were rolling. They would hit their marks, deliver their lines, and perform their scenes with perfect timing and chemistry, putting aside their personal feelings for the duration of the take. This ability to switch off their animosity and switch on their performance is a testament to their skill as actors, but it also highlights the intense effort required to maintain that facade. The contrast between their brilliant, warm on-screen dynamic and their cold, antagonistic off-screen reality made their feud even more fascinating and, to some extent, tragic. It showed the immense discipline required to manufacture joy and camaraderie for millions while harboring deep personal resentment. The depth of Vivian Vance's feelings towards William Frawley became even clearer after I Love Lucy ended in 1957 and transitioned into the hour-long Lucy-Desi Comedy Hour specials. While the main cast returned, the old tensions remained. When Lucille Ball later developed a new series, The Lucy Show, she wanted Vivian Vance to co-star. Vivian agreed, but with a significant condition that highlighted just how much she wanted to avoid working. With Frawley, she would only appear as a guest star or in a limited number of episodes per season, specifically to ensure she was not required to work alongside William Frawley on a regular basis. This was a direct refusal to recreate their working dynamic. A clear statement that the pain and frustration of working with him on I Love Lucy was something she would not endure full-time again. William Frawley was reportedly hurt and angry by Vance's refusal to work with him consistently on the new show. He wanted to continue playing Fred Mertz opposite her. Being rejected professionally by the woman he had clashed with for years and publicly cited as a reason for her limited participation must have stung deeply, potentially intensifying his own negative feelings towards her. It brought their private conflict into the public eye once more, confirming the reality of their long-standing animosity. After I Love Lucy concluded its main run, both William Frawley and Vivian Vance went on to other successful television ventures, forever linked by their iconic roles, but continuing their separate paths. William Frawley quickly landed another prominent role, playing the grandfather, Michael "Bub" O'Casey, in the popular sitcom My Three Sons, beginning in 1960. He played the part for several years, changing his on-screen persona slightly from the curmudgeonly Fred to a more benevolent, but still opinionated, grandfather figure. He reportedly cherished this role, and it provided him with steady work in his later years. Vivian Vance joined Lucille Ball's new show, The Lucy Show, in 1962, playing Lucy Carmichael's friend and roommate, Vivian Bagley. As mentioned, she carefully limited her appearances to avoid having to work with William Frawley, who was not a main cast member on the show. She continued to showcase her incredible comedic talent and singing ability. Vance remained with The Lucy Show for several seasons before leaving to pursue other projects, including stage work and guest appearances on television. The personal animosity between William Frawley and Vivian Vance never truly dissipated. There were no reports of a reconciliation, no mending of fences. The disagreements and hurt feelings from the I Love Lucy years lingered. William Frawley passed away on March 3, 1966, at the age of 79 after suffering a heart attack. His death marked the end of a long and prolific career, cemented by the role of Fred Mertz. Lucille Ball and Daisy Arnaz were reportedly saddened by his passing. There's a widely circulated anecdote, often told with a touch of dramatic flair, that when Vivian Vance heard the news of Frawley's death, her reported reaction was something to the effect of, "Champagne for everyone?" A comment often cited as proof of the enduring depth of her dislike. While the exact wording and context of this comment might be exaggerated over time, it reflects the commonly held understanding of the intense animosity that existed between them until the very end of Frawley's life. Vivian Vance continued her successful career for several more years. She passed away on August 17, 1979, at the age of 70 after a long battle with cancer. The legacy of I Love Lucy and the characters of Fred and Ethel Mertz is immense and enduring. They remain television icons, symbols of classic comedy and relatable marital squabbles. The performances of William Frawley and Vivian Vance in these roles are justly celebrated as masterpieces of comedic acting. But their story off-screen is a powerful, and perhaps slightly unsettling, reminder of the complex reality behind the magic of entertainment. The truth behind the laughter was that the two actors who played the happily married Mertzes simply could not stand each other. Their feud was real, fueled by a significant age difference, Frawley's cruel jokes about Vance's appearance, undeniable personality clashes, and subtle professional tensions. The fact that they were able to consistently deliver such brilliant, harmonious performances together, despite their deep personal animosity, is a testament to their immense professionalism and talent. They managed to suppress their genuine dislike for years, purely for the sake of creating art and entertaining millions. The feud between William Frawley and Vivian Vance is one of Hollywood's most famous hidden dramas, a compelling paradox that highlights the strict demands of the entertainment industry and the human capacity to perform brilliantly even when personal feelings are in direct opposition. It's a strong reminder that sometimes the most convincing portrayals of love, partnership, or even contentious marriage on screen can mask a reality of intense dislike, or even hate, in real life. The reasons are now clear, revealing the complex and often painful truth behind America's favorite landlord couple.